Clothing Company, 111 North Center Street, Collierville, Hewlett and Dunn. Hewlett and Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Hey, y'all, it's the Mid-South Sports and Boat Show, January 26th through the 28th at the Agri Center. Come buy your new boat and make some memories at the lake this summer with family and friends. Premier dealers showcasing the newest ski boats, pontoons, fishing boats, with huge show specials. Enter your chance to win daily door prizes. It's all at the Mid-South Sports and Boat Show, January 26th through the 28th. For more info, go to memphisboatshow.com. That's memphisboatshow.com.
At the Agri Center.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Oh, yeah.
It's time for Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you for the next 3 hours. A lot to get to. We had some breaking news yesterday when we left that we'll certainly have to talk about. Jim Harbaugh, a new job in the NFL. But we've got plenty of time to get to all of it. Some great guests with us. Like I said, Bryant and Brett with you. Johnny Hill producing us as always. Brett, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing great. We also got another hire in the NFL today. Carolina found their guy.
Yes, they did.
Dave Canales, is that it?
Oh, yes.
Dave Canales era underway.
Yes. And sounds, I guess, I think that hire happened during Johnny Radio's show earlier today, and he was kind of talking about it and said he liked it because, was with Seattle when Geno kind of took over and did some really nice things with Geno, was down in Tampa Bay last year with Baker.
Who knew Geno would get you hired somewhere?
Who knew? Baker, even. Baker, too. I mean, the combination of the two. So, I mean, maybe,
getting Bryce Young.
Getting Bryce Young now. I mean, that's the best of the three, I would say.
3 jobs open, Atlanta, Seattle, and Washington.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yet to be filled.
It's going to be interesting to see how those are filled. And now it seems like a lot more coordinator talk going on around the league than
a lot of movement there.
Talk.
Eagles clean sweep.
Eagles they brought Sirianni into the office and said either you go or everybody else goes and you stay. And he said, all right.
Almost always they say we'll fire everybody.
Hard to do the you know what, you keep the coordinators. I'll take
a couple times they haven't.
Yeah,
a couple coaches haven't done it.
It's very rare that you see that. So it is interesting in the NFL with all of the kind of movers and shakers. Also sounds like I saw when I got here, I was looking on Twitter. It sounds like Dino Babers is going to be the next head coach at Arizona after his time at Syracuse. So it's an interesting hire.
Big 12 bound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it'll be interesting. I guess as a coordinator, though, because Arizona already hired.
They did.
So be interesting to see him on a staff in the Big 12 now. But a lot of moves in terms of
Jim
coaching.
Harbaugh. Just win one with the Chargers. They'd take that. They've never won one. Been to one Super Bowl. That'd be legendary status.
Absolutely, easily. I think you appear in a Super Bowl and everyone's happy out there.
They've been to one ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think getting there everyone would be happy.
Natrone Means at running back when they win.
Wow, that's a name. But no, I mean you win a Super Bowl most anywhere, and you are a immediate legend in that franchise, but certainly
almost makes you Hall of Famer.
Oh, absolutely.
Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and I mean Jim Harbaugh, pro football, college football, he's has a good resume for both of them.
We got a couple likely suspects for next still alive. Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah. I don't know. This weekend's gonna be tricky for the 49ers. As the days go on, I like the Lions a little bit more, Brett.
I don't know if Dan Campbell's on a next list, but he's 2 wins away.
Sure is. Closer than I think a lot of people thought he would get when he was hired.
He's closer than Dennis Allen is.
Well, that's true. And Brett, we talked about it, I think, last week or maybe earlier this week about when he was hired in Detroit, I mean, it was, what is this hire? I mean, you're just hiring a...
It was one of the worst press conferences ever.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I think if you had told people then, hey, in a couple years, he's going to have one of the most exciting teams in the NFL and is going to be 2 wins away from hoisting the Lombardi Trophy, people would say you're crazy.
Yeah, everybody would have bet a lot against him ever going to an NFC Championship game.
Absolutely. But here we are. So that's going to be a really fun game. And then on the other side, we could have the John Harbaugh win it all and, have his brother now in the NFL, but just coming off a college national championship and John winning it in the NFL.
It feels like the rest of his coaching life, Andy Reid, one more. Could be this year.
And then if he wins it this year, I think you're still talking maybe one more after that.
Kind of same for John Harbaugh. One more could be this year. Mm-hmm. Mike Tomlin, ever again?
Get a quarterback.
But Sean McVay, another one, ever again?
I'd say Sean McVay, sure, maybe another one. I'd say Mike Tomlin, another one, because I think that team's a quarterback away from being a really, really good team.
Doug Peterson, now with Jacksonville, ever another one?
I want to say yes, but
I don't know about that.
Johnny, here's the big one.
Uh-oh.
Mike McCarthy.
Brett, I don't think me and Brian going to see that, man.
I don't think we're going to see it.
I don't think we're going to see it, Brett.
Johnny doesn't think the earth will still be around before the Cowboys win the Super Bowl.
Zach Taylor's been to a Super Bowl with the Bengals. Does he get back?
I think so.
Yeah, he do.
Big year next year for him.
Big year next year. And big year for Joe Burrow in terms
bigger
of
for the
health.
coach, though.
It's always bigger for the coach.
Yeah, it's big for the coach.
They're paying Joe Burrow a lot more than they are the coach.
Yes, they
Sean
are.
McDermott, big next year.
Uh-huh. It's going to be big for a lot of people next year. Big for Mike McCarthy. I mean, he just said his name.
Yeah, it's big for him.
It's big for him.
So with that, we sure Jim Harbaugh going to win one with the Los Angeles Chargers? Because there's a lot. We just went through a lot of prospects.
Oh yeah, no.
I
don't think we're sure.
I think he just got the pieces.
Smelled the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's been ever since Justin Herbert.
You got DeMeco Ryan's coming.
He's coming.
Mike McDaniel.
Yeah. Well, and Justin Herbert, I think is a great quarterback, but out of all the hype that has been around him, it's kind of been a disappointment for that whole team. You got Austin Eckler out there. You've got a lot of
Brian, as you well know, be careful planning Super Bowl parade routes.
Well, Brett, I had to throw, the whole.
No, don't ever throw it away. You might have to utilize it sometime.
Well, at that point, we're just
draw up new plans.
You start from scratch. You can't keep reusing the ones. And look here, 20 years ago we had the route, and this year we finally get to use it. And you just got to start new.
Because I guarantee you, after Oklahoma won it in 2000 with Bob Stoops in his second or third year there, they didn't think that was it.
Oh, right. No, dude, does any team when they win the championship?
That's a great comeback.
They all think it's next year or the year after that.
This is easy.
Yeah, they see it, they sniff it.
Even Bama hadn't won it since 2020.
That's hard.
Bama.
Hard to believe after that kind of stretch we were in.
John Calipari in Kentucky, 2012.
It's hard getting back.
Dan Marino played in one Super Bowl, never won it. Did it in year 2.
Yeah.
Never got back.
It's tough. It's hard to get there in the first place, and then you get that taste.
It makes what Patrick Mahomes has done in this
incredible
short time.
Very short.
Even more spectacular.
Yes. No, you're absolutely right about that, and I keep saying it because we did our rankings yesterday of the teams remaining, and yesterday when we had 8th, I think I had Kansas City 5th or 6th teams remaining, and it's just I think you go and you ask a lot of people, what do you think about this year's Kansas City Chiefs team? And they'll say, okay, they're good, but they're not what they have been in the past. But for that team to still be in the position where everyone, I think, can collectively say, this isn't the same team that we've seen win multiple Super Bowls. They're still in this position to get right back to the Super Bowl under Patrick Mahomes is incredible.
Brian, here's one. In 1997, and it wasn't miracle run, but it was a good little surprising run. Started here in Memphis, and they were lucky to get out of here at a first weekend, the Arizona Wildcats.
Okay.
With Lute Olson as coach, his only national title that year. If you had told Pac-12 fan then, unless you win it in 2024, the conference will dissolve before you win another one.
Whew. People would call you insane. There's no way.
Stark raving lunatic. And that was a fun, great Arizona run, and was here for the games, and then was covering games in Birmingham the next weekend. And they won down there and beat Providence and God Shamgod.
Oh, really?
To get to the Final Four.
Wow, one of the great names in all
and
sports.
And a great
God
youngster.
Shamgod. Really?
Great story.
Oh, yeah.
Great player. Great story.
Yeah. Well, Brett, speaking of Arizona, I have some money on Arizona to win the whole thing this year.
Way back in October.
Hopefully, before that, it was in the middle of summer. But
good odds?
Very, very good odds. I've one out for them to win the national championship, one out for them to just make it to the Final Four. So, we'll see what happens. Johnny's shaking his head in disappointment on the other side.
I don't mind the Final Four one, but to win it all is hard.
It's hard.
It's going to be hard,
That's why you just throw a little bit of money on it and see what happens.
They're 3 in the net right now.
I mean, Net loves them. Kim Palm loves them. They have lost a couple games, but hey, long season.
As long as you love them, that's all that matters.
Right. Brett, you got to see some college basketball last night.
Ole
Miss and Arkansas. I did not see a ton of that game. It was an ESPN Plus game last night.
Was it?
I think so. I couldn't find it on any. And one on SC Network. I forgot what game was on SC Network.
I thought it was more than that because Jimmy Dykes was doing the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe it was on ESPNU, and I didn't check the U. Shame on me because I did want to watch it. But when I saw on my phone late in the second half and Arkansas had 49 points, I was
they got 2 more than
shocked.
That in the end.
They sure did.
It was a scratching claw to get to 51.
I was shocked. But what did you see last night?
Well, they had a big out.
Yeah.
A big player out, but they're really bad in the offensive end. Directionless. Mm-hmm. They don't have any sign of a point guard.
No, they do not.
They don't shoot well.
No.
They don't rebound well.
No.
They don't play hard. And they're pretty disenchanted, and it could be the big tipping point for them. We got Kentucky Saturday.
Game day on Saturday. Kentucky and Arkansas.
ESPN execs had to be, and you would have been, enamored by the atmosphere at the Duke game back in late November and said, hey, let's get our – and in college basketball, game day is not close to organic like football that's largely decided on the fly except for those early games. And there's a couple that, they kind of know – Red River, cocktail party.
Right.
That's always in play. Army, Navy.
Sure.
That's at the end of the year and only game that day. But a lot of weeks, that's a Sunday afternoon, Sunday night on the fly thing. And a lot of it is, and they have distribution sites all over the country. But, can we get the equipment from A to B?
Yeah.
And, everything that goes with it, all the apparatus that goes with it. Basketball is not, and it's much more planned. And Saturday, I think, is the first one that's going to be on campus anywhere. Yeah. Everything's been in studio. I think it's very bland. And they decided on Fayetteville. And Arkansas is now 10-9, and college football game day mostly is predicated by the home team.
Right.
They go really to accommodate them, and they get most of the focus. But this year, it was amazing. I don't know where, maybe at Washington, Dan Lanning appeared on the stage, on the set, and did an interview. That would not go over in the SEC.
No. I remember that and thinking,
Brian Kelly coming up on the Grove stage at an Ole Miss LSU game, or Lane down there, not a prayer, not a chance.
Not a chance. But
so I don't know why they're going there Saturday.
I don't know. I mean, you're right. I mean, they had that.
I mean, it's the college basketball equivalent of going when they write it off and go to James Madison.
Yeah,
in football.
It is like you mentioned that Duke game. They also had that charity exhibition against Purdue where it was from all accounts an incredible atmosphere, but. I mean, this team is just not very good right now. And you're right, ESPNU, that game was on last night.
And this is how long and bad of a year for Arkansas that it is. I was talking to a Razorback fan that knows the history of it well this morning. Was in Oxford.
Yeah.
And we agreed that this may be the worst team we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And that's saying something. I mean, the coach preceding Eddie Sutton, Lanny Van Eman, had bad teams, but had some real star players on it.
Yeah.
Dean Tolson, Martin Terry, Jack Schulte, Ricky Medlock, some others. the coach that preceded him was really bad. I think it was Duddy Waller, and the story goes they were so bad in the mid-'60s that a group of football players beat the basketball team in a pickup basketball game. So
never a good sign, Brett.
Not good. Never good. And coming off 2 Elite Eights and a Sweet 16 for Eric Musselman, and how bad football was, and then to beat Duke, for this to be kind of splat.
Yeah.
And it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Oh yeah, it's going to get a lot worse. But and Brett, I think the expectations going into the season, what Eric Musselman has done these previous years, I think entered the season 14th in the country.
I wasn't alone loving them preseason.
No, a ton of people loved them, and I liked the team. But you're right. I mean, they just have a ton of flaws in this group. It just seemed like Eric Musselman went out and looked at the transfer portal and said, here are a bunch of guys that were great at their teams.
And missed.
Let's bring them in. And it seems like, for the most part, has missed on a lot of them.
Yeah.
And if not all of them. And, some of them, I think, Minifield is a young guy that came from Washington. I think he could be a good player. He didn't have a good game at all last night, 3 for 10 from the field. But
Joseph Pinion was about the only one that hustled last night.
Yeah, and it is from beating Duke and us being so excited to play them down in the Bahamas, and what a game that would be. And now 10-9, Brett. If they lose,
won't go to the NIT.
Brett, if they lose on Saturday, they're going to be 500 team in January.
And so I'm really worried about, and this is another thing that goes with, if you're portal king and you swing and miss, the checkout factor.
Yeah.
A couple guys I'm going to get out of town a little early.
Yeah.
Season's over.
Yeah, and I could see that, especially, back to the expectations. And then, for a lot of those guys, I remember talking about it before the season started, but a lot of those transfers that they brought in are from, the American.
I wish some in the media would save a little bit of that intensity and criticism for the bowl games. I wish they'd save some of that for the NIT. You talking about something that does not matter.
Literally. Yeah. No, it is. It's just they're out there playing a couple more games. But, for a lot of these guys, they come in from programs that are not SEC programs that are not on the standard of Arkansas basketball. And so coming in there, it's, oh man, look what we can do this year. We can make a real run in the tournament. We can, all this and that. And now, to be a game off of 500 is really, really surprising. Well, let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Vince Ferrara from WNML in Knoxville. He will join us. We're going to talk UT basketball, football, Todd Helton getting into Cooperstown. A ton to talk to with Vince in our next segment. Always a lot of fun catching up with him from over in Knoxville. 3:45, we'll talk the Grizzlies. They got a win last night in Miami against the Heat. 10.5-point underdog, but they go out there and win the game outright. Really impressive, really fun to watch. We'll talk that at 3:45. 4 o'clock, Keith Smith from Spot Track and the Front Office Show will join us to talk the NBA. A ton to get to in the NBA. Now we have 2 coach firings in the NBA as the Washington Wizards have fired their head coach this morning. So a lot going on in the NBA. We'll do that at 4 o'clock with Keith. 4:30, we'll get into the NFL. 4:45, big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Greg Gaston. He'll join us like he always does on Thursdays to talk the Tigers. 5:30, we get to what's trending, and at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Get over there right now for the floor model sale. All floor model patio sets are priced to move. Wicker sofa set under $2,000. Closeout patio cushions as low as $25. Pool tables under $1,500. Theater seating under $2,000. And 4-person hot tubs now under $5,000. Infrared and traditional steam saunas 25% off. Get ready for summer and purchase your above-ground pool right now to get first in line for installation. They've also got the special financing, and it's still available, but only at Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40.
Johnny Hill is our producer. Bryant and Brett with you until 6 o'clock. We're Sports Time. And we want you to join us at 901-360-8255. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2024 models and always special leasing options. The one and only Lexus dealership in town, and that's where you can drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Give them a call at 901-334-9673, but stop by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2024 flagship LS500, and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, Brett, my top story of the day. We talked a lot about Arkansas, Ole Miss, but the night in the SEC that we saw in college basketball last night, it was a really fun slate, and really all the games lived up to the hype. We know we just talked about it. Ole Miss, a 77-51 victory over Arkansas. Chris Beard talked a lot about wanting to prioritize defense in that game, that the key word last night against Arkansas was defense. And if you take anything away, holding a team to 51 points, you played pretty good defense. So a good win for Ole Miss. In other news in the SEC, Florida, a lot of people wondering what this Florida team would be this year after a really hot start in non-conference play. They beat Mississippi State last night 79-70 at home, bringing them back to 3-3 in SEC play. They've kind of struggled early, had some tough opponents to start the conference slate, but they're now back to 3-3. Georgia, they beat LSU at home 68-66, and don't look now, Georgia 14-5 overall, 4-2 in the SEC, playing really, really well down there. And then the big game of the night over on ESPN, Alabama hosting 8th-ranked Auburn. A lot of people have been talking about this.
And the lights went out.
The lights didn't come back on. I mean, we had the first shot of the game.
Tear down Coleman.
In the dark. It was incredible. But Alabama gets a 79-75 win at home against Auburn. There's been a lot of talk. This Auburn team has been really, really good. 16-3 and now 5-1 following that loss. And they've been blowing out opponents. But they met their match last night on the road. Tough environment in Tuscaloosa. And
they fought back.
They fought back and made it really close. And some questionable decisions from Alabama. I mean, fouling a three-point shooter up 3. It was kind of a rough into the game.
And Brian, I'm
for
still
Alabama.
scared, and Nate Oates is kind of his mantra.
Yeah.
If we make threes, we're in good shape.
Yeah.
What if you don't make them?
Yeah.
Made them in the first half.
Made a lot of them last night, and that's really what got them that win. 44 points in that first half, and then only 35. Got outscored 45-35 in that second half. Like you mentioned, Auburn, a big comeback in the second half.
My top story, the hottest and proudest moment of the year for the Memphis Grizzlies. They're playing well, and they're playing with a lot of pride that they didn't play with, frankly, in that first 25 games without Ja Morant. But they are now, and then the injuries really set in after that. But a win last night for a beleaguered fan base that can really relish and enjoy that win, and the win before that. Vince Williams, one of the leaders of this team.
Yeah.
G.G. Jackson development is very, very key, and I'm ready for the end of having to watch Zaire Brick Williams. I mean, he was awful last night, has never stepped up and shown any leadership at all, and kind of being counted on now. And the contrast between him and Vince, well, it's stark.
Not top story of the day.
Well, I'm going to stick right there with my not top story of the day because I was blown away by that Grizzlies performance last night against the Heat. The Heat, we talked about it yesterday, they went out and made a trade, and Terry Rozier played 29 minutes in that game last night, scored 9 points, 3 for 11 from the field. I know Heat fans are going to want a little bit better performances than what they saw last
Grizzlies
night.
won 3 out of the last 5.
They've been playing really, really well, and a lot of that has had to do with guys we've talked about a lot. Jaren Jackson Jr. has been playing really well, but also Vince Williams, what this season has been. I mean, I know it's been a bad year. It's not going to be a great year. You're probably going to finish with a lottery pick, and this is going to be a throwaway season. But if we're going to hand out an MVP of the season, right now, Vince Williams is that MVP. Because going from a last year on a two-way didn't see any action. Nobody really knew who he was. You heard about him. Hey, they got this guy from VCU that's a good player. He's been playing well for the Hustle, but you didn't see him at all. Now on a two-way this year, playing some games, looking good, then getting that standard contract. And now, last night, 25 points, 5 for 6 from 3, and we've talked a ton about what he does on the defensive end. I mean, he's just so solid. And Brett, you brought up a really good point yesterday, because we're seeing him right now playing 33 minutes a night. You're not going to see that when this team is at full strength, and when you can rely on him, whether he blows people away throughout the rest of the season, comes back and they say we've got to make this guy a starter, he's going to be our starting 3 or whatever going into next season. I don't think he can be a starting 3, maybe move Desmond, whatever you need to do. Or if he's coming off the bench, this guy's going to be a key player, and for him to be able to get these minutes, getting 33 minutes a night this year and be able to develop and get comfortable on the NBA level is massive.
My not top story, just seemingly like yesterday, we had the college football playoff. We had those 4 coaches. Now 3 of those 4 are gone. Jim Harbaugh, Nick Saban, Kalen DeBoer, no longer with the teams that they led into the college football playoff. Only Dan Lanning returns at Oregon. It was special circumstances. No, it wasn't who was the 4th team in the playoffs?
It was Texas.
Only Steve Sarkisian remains. Sarkisian is the only coach of the 4 in the playoffs that remain. And it was special circumstances this year, but the playoffs in college football going forward will have a lot of coaching changes come out of it for this reason. Those 12 teams, you're going to have 40 dreamers that we should be in there. Well, 40 not getting in.
Yeah.
Just 12 is getting in.
Yeah.
And year in and year out, there are going to be a lot of teams that won't get in those playoffs that will wish we could still kind of save the season by going to the Gator Bowl and going to the Outback Bowl. Now it's going to be direct results. There are teams that are expecting playoffs that I think are dreaming.
Brett, I think you're right, and we'll see a lot of that, especially when we get closer to the season. But I'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break of the day. When we come back, we're talking the Vols with Vince Ferrara.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, folks. Bob Burkhammer, Sunrise Buick GMC truck. Going to start out the new year buying a new or used car truck. Remember, the selection's better and the savings are bigger at Sunrise. Acres of new cars and trucks to choose from. A $5 million used car inventory of late model GM certified cars and trucks. And remember, Sunrise specializes in cars and trucks under $99.95. Don't forget, Sunrise has a financing plan for everybody and specializes in secondary financing. The #1 volume Buick and GMC dealer in the Mid-South. Sunrise, where saving you money is just a way of doing business, partner. Covington Pike, Wolf Chase, and Collierville.
Roofs, and more roofs. Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair simply because they don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance claims for policyholders each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. Call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates, consultation, and claim repairs. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, diagnosing problems, and estimating is second to none, commercial and residential. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. All you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and Mulehide with labor warranties up to 50 years on all of our jobs. Metro Builders provides roof repairs across the Mid-South. Call Metro Builders to schedule your inspection free. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wollo said hello. It's a new year, and Family Leisure has a new way to bring family and fun together. All you have to do is walk into Family Leisure and look around. All those floor model patio sets you see, those have got to go. So Family Leisure can make room for all the new sets coming. Get a wicker sofa set for under $2,000. Pool tables under $1,500. Theater seating for under $2,000. Hot tubs for $4,000 or just for yourself. If you really want to lounge, they're under $5,000. Need patio cushions? Get them as low as $25. Oh, have you seen those infrared steam saunas? Well, now they and the traditional saunas are 25% off. It may just be the first few weeks of 2024, but that doesn't mean you can't start getting ready for summer. Two final things. Purchase your above-ground pool now and get first in line for installation and take advantage of special financing that's available. Family Leisure, Whitten Road and I-40, bringing the family and the fun back together.
Let's make this the new year to drive your new Kia home from Gossett Kia on the Pike. Bobby J's waiting to put you in a new Kia today. So come hit the road with 41 MPG Highway and 2024 Kia Forte LXS, $239 a month, $27.99 due at signing. Or get 7 passenger seating in a 2023 Kia Sorento LX. We Gossett at $319 a month, $34.99 due at signing. And if you want your new ride to be a 2024 Kia Telluride LX, we Gossett at $449 a month, $34.99 due at signing. All 36-month lease plus Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. So get to Gossett Kia today, 1900 Covington Pike. Online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we Gossett at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 650 acquisition fee. Forte RE722-812, MSRP 21,590. Sorrento PG 242-710, MSRP 33,010. Telluride RG 462822, MSRP 38,705. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 1/31/2024 with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Sports 56 traffic.
A little bit slow over here at times. 55 northbound between McLemore and South Parkway in this road construction as it picks up on Sam Cooper going outbound. Still looks good over here right now. I-40 going eastbound passing Hollywood, Warford as you continue on 40 east all the way over to White Station. A 24/7 reliable crane and rigging services right here in Memphis. It's Tomahawk Crane and Rigging. They're online, tomahawkcrane.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure studios. And joining us now from WNML Knoxville, Vince Ferrara joins us now to talk the Vols. A lot to get to on the Vols front. But I do want to start with basketball. They've now won 3 games in a row. They've got Vanderbilt this Saturday. What have you made of this team this season under Rick Barnes and the addition of Dalton Connect and what he has done for this team?
Ryan, Brett, great to be on with you guys in the western part of the state. Appreciate you. And this is a different Tennessee team than what we've seen under Rick Barnes. It's arguably the best offensive team that he has had. Certainly the Admiral Schofield, Grant Williams teams had a lot of firepower that were really good as well. This is constructed a little bit different with both point guard play and inside. You mentioned with Dalton Connect, he was exactly what this program has been missing for years, ever since Grant Williams. He's the most prolific scorer that Rick Barnes has had. And the question going in was, would Rick Barnes, a defensive-minded coach, would he allow an offensive guy to come in and be himself and be an impact offensive guy, or would we not see that? Well, Rick Barnes has shown his ability to adjust much to the difference and the surprise for some Vols fans that have been down on this program under Rick Barnes because they have not had the deep enough runs in the NCAA tournament. So Dalton Connect has not only bought in defensively to what Rick Barnes demands, but he has gotten better offensively. He was willing to be coached. He knew what he was signing up for, and they don't let him rest on his big scoring games, so he continues to put in the work. and he gives them a dimension of being able to take over a game. That's another thing that Barnes has done. At times, they go to the DK3 offense and ditch the motion and let him take over, bring the ball up, and create. They have not had a creator like that in a long time to get them a shot at the end of a bucket, at the end of a shot, the shot clock, or during their scoring droughts that have been such a presence for this program for the last couple of years. 5, 6, 7, 8-minute stretches where they can't get a bucket. That doesn't happen anymore with Connect. You can dial up a play. And then on top of that, Jonas Adu has improved so much as their big. He's long, he's bouncy, he's gotten stronger. He's been battle-tested going up against some of the best bigs in the country. He gets better each time we see him. His offensive game is completely different. He's a rim protector. So now they can go inside and get some post scoring. On top of that, they're driving to the basket at a much higher clip than they've done in years past. And they have a guy like Connect and Vescovy, guys that are willing to drive Gainey as well off the bench, drive and score with that threat to score and kick. And then Connect draws so much attention. It opens things up for so many of the other three-point shooters on this team. And then the last thing that's really different about them is they're willing to get out on the break, where they have been reluctant to do so in years past. Year after year, we'd hear, oh, we're going to run more this year. We're going to run this more this year. And then it doesn't happen. They are doing it. Even if they don't get a fast break basket, they put pressure on the defense. Sometimes they get a secondary break basket. So those are all some of the things that are very different about Rick Barnes' team this year, playing on a really high level right now.
Vince, who gets credit in the basketball office for finding Dalton Connect or scouting him, whether it was an analyst or assistant coach or Rick Barnes himself? Who gets in taking that credit?
Well, Rick Barnes is kind of the closer. I don't think he's the research guy. I think several of the assistants were involved in him and in Justin Gainey and also Rod Clark. So I'm not sure if how far back it goes when he was on their radar, but I know when he was on the portal, and you have to do scout before guys hit the portal and then have a profile of them so you're ready to jump on it. So who knows how far back that goes in terms of their research and maybe them being aware of him. But I think it was a collective, and then Barnes kind of the closer in that situation. But he was second team in his conference at Northern Colorado. He has become a lot better now. He's tougher. He's more complete offensively, in addition to him getting better and better defensively. The way analysts talk about him, he's now worked himself into a potential lottery. Yeah. That's how good. From a guy who didn't get any D1 offers coming out of high school, amazing what he's made himself into. And this is why he wanted to come to Tennessee to raise his profile.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been so much fun to watch. Vince, when you look around the SEC and you see Tennessee obviously up there towards the top, you got Kentucky up there playing really well, Auburn's played well, Alabama has played well in conference play. When you look around these top teams in the SEC, who, in your opinion, is the top of the SEC right now?
Well, I think it's Tennessee. The record, they're 4-1 compared to Bama and Auburn at 5-1. Tennessee beat Alabama. I thought Tennessee was a better team even going into that, even though Bama had the better record. I think Alabama's still very good. And Nate Oates in the postgame after Tennessee beat them said, well, they're out tough. They out toughed us. They were more physical. It was a reality check for us. We couldn't duplicate that. And he said it's similar to last year, where we got a reality check in facing a physical Tennessee team, but they went on to win the league. So we'll see what Alabama makes of it. The difference is they don't have Brandon Miller this year. They don't have the rim protection this year. They are a different type of team. I don't think they're that good, but they're still very good. I think in the end, you're going to see Tennessee 1, Kentucky 2. And then it's Alabama, Auburn, and then maybe one other, whether it's Georgia or South Carolina in that next group. But I do think, despite them taking the L at South Carolina the other day, I do think that Cal's team, the way Kentucky had been playing, I think they're a little bit more stable, for maybe lack of a better term, and not having those wild, ups and downs in their play. I think that's the order: Tennessee, Kentucky, and then Bama, Auburn, and then everybody else kind of in that group closing in.
It's late January, Vince, but are any Volunteer fans booking rooms in Phoenix for the Final Four?
No, because of the history of the postseason. But there's plenty of Tennessee fans, not all of them. It's not the majority. They pack Thompson. They put 20,000 people in there with a bunch of icy roads Saturday and temperatures in the teens.
Impressive.
I braved the roads myself to get there.
Just getting from your parking place to the building was quite a job.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, I live up on a hill, and there's a lot of people that still have been dealing with.
Everybody lives on a hill in Knoxville, Vince.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, yeah, despite that, they packed the house. Students weren't even back. There wasn't any classes, and they still packed the house. So this isn't the majority, but there is a segment of the fans that aren't letting themselves enjoy this season because they're just anticipating disappointment in the postseason. Now, last year, they got a little bit farther. They had the win over Duke. They got to the Sweet 16. But when fans see the bracket open up for you, whether it's a Florida Atlantic or Sister Jean's school or whoever, they expect you to win those games, and they want you to cash in. And that has not happened under Barnes. So for some, the talk to me in March when you're making a deep run, and then they will jump back on that bandwagon. So it's a mix in how people are viewing that. So maybe some are, but I think there's still plenty that are taking a wait and see with this team.
Yeah. Talking to Vince Ferrara from WNML in Knoxville. We got the news a couple days ago. Todd Helton is heading to Cooperstown.
And we have defended it,
We
Vince.
have been defending it.
We've supported it.
Absolutely. What has the reaction been up in Knoxville to this news, and what did you make of the news that he's going to Cooperstown?
Oh, it's unanimous. I mean, he was so popular, and we've been talking about it for years, and him trying to get enough votes to get in. And even when the numbers, because they give you kind of the updates and the stages, when he was above those percentages and at the top, I think everyone was kind of holding their breath a little bit until it was official. So sigh of relief, but worthy, great representative of the University of Tennessee, Tony Vitello, talking about Todd Helton and saying, look, he's exactly what you want. A guy that loved baseball but was about his family more so than trying to get people's attention and say, what can you do for me? It was him wanting to take care of the people around him. He spent a little bit of time with the Tennessee baseball program as a volunteer for a couple of years. So he's around, even though he's not a B guy. Obviously, a lot of talk of him being in that QB room with Peyton Manning back in the day, University of Tennessee, 2 Hall of Famers in 2 different sports in 1 quarterback room. So just a cool reaction to
and
him
one
getting
team
that
in the
announcement.
pros, Rockies, and that was it. That's impressive.
Yep, absolutely. So just unanimous in their love and appreciation and feeling for Tennessee guy to get to Cooperstown.
All right, Vince, so you mentioned Peyton. I think most people would say he is the one face all-time of Tennessee football. Before him, a lot of people would say Johnny Majors and others, but it's Peyton Manning for sake of argument. For baseball, is it Todd Helton, and who is it for basketball?
Oh, boy. It probably is Todd Helton. In terms of the Hall of Fame, that's the bar right there.
Yeah.
Although there's certainly been some plenty of greats, Phil Garner and others.
Rick Honeycutt.
Yeah, Honeycutt for sure. So as far as basketball, there's certainly a.
I would still say Bernard King. I would.
Yeah. I think that's where my mind goes. Chris Lofton for maybe the younger
Allen Houston,
Tennessee fans, Allen Houston or Ernie Grunfeld. So
Dale Ellis.
Dale. There's some depth. The top. There's an argument for a top 4 for sure. So it's a good group for basketball.
Last thing for you, Vince. We haven't talked to you since Tennessee football won their bowl game. We got our kind of first extended look of the future under Nico. Played really well. I had buddies texting me saying, I see great odds on him for Heisman next year. I'm taking it right now. It seems like everybody is excited about him as the future quarterback. What was your biggest takeaway from his first real action at quarterback?
What it did was it validated and put a stamp on what we've seen and heard.
Yeah.
Seen a little bit of it of him in games. I think of only 52 snaps, according to Pro Football Focus, prior to that bowl game. So it was limited during the season, but we got to watch him in practice in the preseason, and he looked the part. And then everything you hear from his teammates and coaches about his development, and he was smart and mature. He wasn't looking for playing time. He was happy sitting behind Joe Milton and learning from him, and then making sure that he was prepared when he got his start there. Milton stuck around to try to help him and pass that baton, and that's what the fans wanted as well. So it wasn't. I caution people to not say this, that, oh, look at those odds for Nico. That's ridiculous for off of one game.
Yes.
Well, it's not one game, because if he was a 3-star that nobody had heard of and he played that game, he's not 5th or 6th in next year's Heisman odds.
Right.
It's because of who he was and how he is a known big-time prospect, and then he put a stamp on top of that. That's how you get to that. It's the whole package, not just one game. Yeah. Jackson Arnold at Oklahoma made his first career start in the bowl game as well. He had, maybe it's changed here recently, he had the exact same odds as Nico last time I saw it. So it's a similar situation. You got to be a known commodity with big upside, high recruit, and then you show ability. That's how you get to that. He is QB1. He is immediately the face of the program. The hype and expectations for next year's team are probably going to be unrealistic for some.
When are they not?
Yeah, that's true. But I would say this past year with Joe Milton, they maybe weren't as over the top and hot, unrealistically high as maybe other times, because there were people that doubted Joe Milton among this fan base. So, but now the guy they wanted, the guy they see as the next Peyton Manning, is there, and he showed out big time with a lot more potential to get better, get stronger, handle themselves really well. And then they got a pretty good team coming back that had some good additions in the portal. So tons of excitement for Tennessee. Got George McIntyre, 5-star, that picked Tennessee over Alabama. So there's just a lot of things that Tennessee fans are pretty excited about right now.
Yeah, it's definitely an exciting time in Knoxville for sure. But Vince, thanks as always for joining us. Always a ton of fun. Let's do it again soon.
All right, anytime. Brian, Brett, thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Vince.
Vince Ferrara from WNML in Knoxville joins us to talk Vols every so often. And, I mean, not a better time to talk about him right now after Todd Helton and what the basketball team is doing. We had to check in with Vince, see how everything was doing in Vol country. But let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we both talked about it in our top stories, but the Grizzlies, they get a 105-96 win over the Heat last night. We'll talk about what we saw in that game next on Sportstime.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
We all appreciate luxury. We love the newest technology. We want something that sparkles and looks great. Well, I've got it all in one place. It's called Genesis of Olive Branch, right at the corner of Highway 78, that's Lamar, and the first exit in Mississippi, that's Craft Road. Turn left and you will see Genesis of Olive Branch. And right now, you can get the 2024 Genesis GV70 starting at $49,480 with special financing as low as just 3.49% on select models. How about the 2024 Genesis GV80? A little bit bigger, starting at $55,995, financing as low as 5.49% with a $2,000 rebate when trading a luxury brand. Call them. They'll even bring you a Genesis at your work or your home for a test drive. They're convinced that when you drive a Genesis, you're going to want one. Call 662-890-6684. Ask for Vinny. Genesis of Olive Branch.
A good friend of mine told me about this awesome place for lunch.
Oh, yeah? What's the name?
Neil's Grill and Bar, where the fat man rocks. Everybody knows Neil.
Where's it located?
It's located in Yorkshire Square off of Quince.
And what's it like?
The best lunch place in Memphis. You know, like real mashed potatoes and gravy. Everything is made from scratch. Monday through Friday, daily lunch specials like Monday baked chicken, Italian Tuesday, spaghetti, ravioli, Italian spinach, delicious fried catfish, fried chicken livers every Wednesday, Friday, Salisbury steak, barbecue chicken, or if you just want a vegetable plate, the best veggies in town.
What about the lunch price?
Meat and 2 veggies, $8.95. Meat and 3 veggies, $10.95. And veggie plate, $9.95. Big fat boy portions, man.
Hey, you're making me hungry.
Come hear the best live local music at Neil's. Eddie Smith plays Sundays 5 to 9, Mondays karaoke, Tuesdays Debbie Jameson, Wednesdays Elmo and the Shades, Thursdays John Williams and the A440 Band at Neil's.
Where the fat man rocks.
This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Marks Bensdorf Realtors. I'm often called Shell Done because I sell homes and work with buyers and I get the job done. There are 7 keys to successfully selling your home quickly at a great price. First, call me. I do my research and advise you on preparation, presentation, and proper pricing that gets you the activity to get the best price. Follow my advice and it can happen. I did mention 7 keys to a successful sale, didn't I? Well, if you use the first key, calling or emailing me, you really don't need the next 6 keys. Remember, that's Sheldon Rosengarten at 483-0546 or MemphisRelocate.com. If you don't need me now, write it down for later or for a friend. That's Sheldon at 483-0546 at MemphisRelocate.com. Do it now, and who knows, you may hear your home advertised here. Remember, as bad a golfer as I am, when selling homes, Shell Done gets it done.
What's wrong? You look bereft.
I am bereft.
What is it?
Well, there's only 3 Central Barbecue locations. The original Central Barbecue on Central, it's closed.
Oh, don't worry, little buckaroo. The location on Central will be back before you know it and better than ever. Now, there's still the location on Summer. You love that one, right?
Yeah.
And there's still the Central Barbecue downtown and the Central Barbecue on Poplar. You love those too, right?
I do love those.
So you could go to those, and then when Central Barbecue on Central reopens, it'll be like Christmas, but with pork.
I feel better already.
It's the Start Something New sales event, and it's on now at Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat on the Pike. Start your new year off in a new ride with 2023 Jeep Renegade. We Gossett at $24,990. How about a 2023 Grand Wagoneer 111 4x4, $10,000 off MSRP. Plus, get unparalleled power in a new 2022 Charger Scat Pack. Your time to get $10,000 off MSRP at Gossett on the Pike. And there's never been a better time than right now for 2023 Dodge Charger SXT. We Gossett only $29,990. So drive past the rest and come to the best at Gossett on the Pike or shop online at GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we Gossett at Gossett Motor Cars.
Renegade Triple P 56029 MSRP 30,040. Wagoneer PS 508,331 MSRP 112,285. Charger NH 251,172 MSRP 58,020. SXT PH 508,657 MSRP 35,930. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month. Dealer stock only.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Well, we were going to talk Grizzlies here, and we'll get back to the Grizzlies a little bit later in the show. But breaking news on ESPN, Adam Schefter is reporting that the Atlanta Falcons, are planning to hire Rams defensive coordinator Raheem Morris as their next head coach. Diana
Put it on the board if
Rossini,
it's a Shefty tweet.
Yeah, and Diana Rossini is also confirming from her sources that report. It sounds like it's coming out from everywhere.
Oh, my New Year's prediction goes down.
That might be the shocker of I mean, I hate to say the shocker of the year. We're what, 20? What's today?
Well, it does.
26,
and that rules out Bill Belichick probably for anywhere.
That's crazy. I mean, all of the talk about
that means maybe a year off, and
then maybe see what's
next
available.
year.
You're 72.
Might
be careful taking a lot of years off.
Yeah.
So now the only
might get forgot.
Maybe hard to reboot.
Yeah, my heart. The everyday grind of coaching. It's a little tough when you're taking a year off. So now Commanders and Seahawks, the only two openings available. I don't see him.
I don't see him
either. Of
I would
those.
love to see, and we'll get it. The backstory of did he ask for too much control?
I mean, that's guys.
That's a great question. That's a real great question.
And that's what people always think. I'll never forget when the Haslams bought the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, me included, just assumed, Jimmy Haslam's he's going to put Peyton in charge of everything. Yeah. They don't spend that kind of money to go, right, I just spent all this money here. You have all the fun. Right.
Yeah.
You run the team.
Mm-hmm. And that, I mean, very well could have been part of the issue, but I mean, it seemed like for the last couple of weeks, he went in, did his interview, went back
twice.
to the second interview.
Yeah, twice. That's a great point.
The fact that Belichick had to go back in twice.
Well, that's
they probably were trying to negotiate.
6 Super Bowls is not enough of an interview.
Just put the ring on there.
Exactly. I
on the
just have to
table.
come in and show you my hand full of rings, and then that be the entire interview process. That's incredible.
But I kind of applaud Arthur Blank for this.
Yeah.
Instead of kind of the easy, just just have Bill Belichick save us.
Yeah.
Instead, I gotta think, maybe 27, 28, 29, and is he just going to break Shula's record, or does he really want to be the coach of the Atlanta Falcons?
And that's a
great
Are
question.
you playing to get me in the playoffs, or you pass Don Shula?
Mm-hmm. Well, and because this is a
Arthur Blank's got to worry about me.
Yeah,
well, that is true.
And for the Falcons, they're in a position right now as a franchise where they have a ton of young pieces, especially on the offensive side of the ball. They're in that kind of rebuilding of we're close, maybe just need a quarterback, need a couple more things in this offense or in a team in general.
Well, my prediction be right if Justin Fields goes to Atlanta. Well, it'd be half right. So that means it's completely wrong because I said Belichick coach Fields is quarterback.
And I could still see Fields being the quarterback at the Falcons, but
But Washington and Seattle, I don't think they're hiring.
No, I don't see
they're not.
of them going there. But I think
And I saw Dave, the defense coordinator for the Cowboys.
Yes.
Help me.
Yeah, I'm blanking now. Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn,
yes.
Close to Seattle.
Yeah, but was
he fired Pete Carroll to hire Dan Quinn.
But I haven't seen as much of that anymore since the game against the Packers, which I don't think one game should dictate.
Well, that one really stood out.
It did stand out. But yeah, I don't. That would seem like a crazy.
Now, the one thing that everybody agrees on that Atlanta needs, that's not Raheem Morris's specialty.
Right.
At quarterback.
Right. Which is a good question, but I mean, I think you could also say, DeMeco Ryans was a defensive guy.
Very fair.
He goes into Houston. They drafted a great
Belichick
quarterback.
himself was Mr. Defense.
So who knows? Maybe they saw what happened in Houston and said maybe we can recreate that with a young defensive, great defensive mind, and who knows? But it's certainly a shocker. Falcons not going into the direction of Bill Belichick, opting for Rams defensive coordinator Raheem Morris instead. Well, that'll do it for our first hour. Let's get to a break. When we come back, we're talking the NBA with Keith Smith.
Hey, y'all, it's the Mid-South Sports and Boat Show, January 26th through the 28th at the Agri Center. Come buy your new boat and make some memories at the lake this summer with family and friends. Premier dealers showcasing the newest ski boats, pontoons, fishing boats, with huge show specials. Enter your chance to win daily door prizes. It's all at the Mid-South Sports and Boat Show, January 26th through the 28th. For more info, go to MemphisBoatShow.com. That's MemphisBoatShow.com.
At the Agri Center.
At Genesis Diamonds, it's not just a new year, it's a new opportunity to bring you more choices, more value, more ways to celebrate your love. So we've expanded our selection of exquisite hand-picked diamonds from a half carat to 15 carats. All shapes, all sizes, all at our famous no middleman prices. We've also got lab-grown diamonds of the highest quality at prices way below what you see at other jewelers. We've also brought in even more exclusive designer jewelry, new cutting-edge, fashion-forward rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, pendants, things you can't find anywhere else. And of course, Genesis is proud to offer a truly spectacular collection of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. We have all the most popular models in stock. Is this the year you reward yourself with a premier name and timepieces? Come to Genesis in 2024 and let our non-commissioned experts help you celebrate those important milestones. We guarantee the best value, the highest quality, and the strongest warranties and guarantees in the jewelry industry. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. The ugly truth is when you buy a timeshare, you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. I recently helped a couple that had their maintenance fees go from $800 to $3,200 a year. They also received a $4,000 assessment for a hurricane that was over 1,000 miles away. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is, this never ends. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. Call 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. 800-462-3333.
At Edwin Watts Golf Shops by Worldwide Golf, there's something that binds us all. The collective goal to transcend the ordinary. Introducing the Ping G430 Max 10K driver. Straighter flies farther with Ping's most forgiving driver ever made. The Max 10K. Come in today and test drive Ping's newest driver at Edwin Watts Golf Shops. Visit us at your local Edwin Watts Golf Shops or shop us online at worldwidegolf.com. Get there.
Roofs, and more roofs. Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair simply because they don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance claims for policyholders each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. Call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates, consultation, and claim repairs. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, diagnosing problems, and estimating is second to none, commercial and residential. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. All you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and Mulehide with labor warranties up to 50 years on all of our jobs. Metro Builders provides roof repairs across the Mid-South. Call Metro Builders to schedule your inspection free. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss Sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. The traffic's on the increase where you pretty much would expect this time of the afternoon on 240 east from Mill Branch, working your way out to 385. Bill Morris Parkway still clear shot right now out towards Collierville. Visibility down again in certain areas. Be careful. 55's wanting to slow down again up through that construction between Macklemore and South Parkway. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, located 7525 Highway 64, is your Valentine's Day headquarters. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Time to talk NBA with Keith Smith from Spot Rack and the Front Office Show, and on Twitter X at Keith Smith NBA. Here's Keith Smith talking basketball with Bryant and Brett.
Keith Smith joins us now from Spot Track and the Front Office Show. Keith, thanks so much for joining us. A lot to get to in the NBA, but I do want to start off very quickly with the Grizzlies. Even though this roster is depleted and a lot of injuries with this game, they've been finding ways to win games lately. They're coming off a win last night against the Heat, a 105-96 win. And we've talked about it a lot. It's really, we just want to see them play hard. We want to see these young guys
play with pride,
get better and get that experience. And really seeing Vince Williams Jr. out there and what he's been doing.
Fans deserve it.
Absolutely. Gigi Jackson, seeing his development. It's been really fun to watch over these last couple weeks.
Yeah, it really has been. Once you get to this point in the season where the team has struggled this much, you're looking for the bright spots. And the bright spots have been Vince Williams, Gigi Jackson. I think Jaren Jackson putting the ball in his hands more than ever and saying, hey, we're going to run the offense through you. Is it going to be messy at times? Sure it is. But you're going to find some stuff out. And these are all things that the Grizzlies will use into next season and how they plan to build out the roster. And, did we find a guy or two that we didn't expect to be, rotation players that we can have in the mix moving forward? And that's what you do. I always say, it seems like when the season goes sideways and everything falls apart, you kind of throw your hands up and say, well, it is what it is. But you can't sit around and cry. You just move forward and you make the best of it.
Keith, I think it's important for Taylor Jenkins. He's no young coach by any means. In fact, he's fifth right now in current seniority in the NBA. But I think it's important for him to establish the rest of the way. We're not going to the playoffs. We've had some really exceptionally bad luck. But we're going to establish ourselves here as something that matters, and then we're going to learn from it. And this time next year, we're going to be in playoff mode.
Yeah, completely agree. I think this is a team that is well set up to be right back into contention next year. You assume some of the injuries that happened they're just not going to be repeat things. These guys should be back. They should be ready to go, and off you go with a roster that is really set up for success. My question, which makes the importance of getting guys like Vince Williams, Gigi Jackson, maybe we'll see if anybody else emerges to be rotation guys, how big of a tax bill, if any, is the organization willing to pay? Because that's where we're headed. You've extended guys. You've traded for guys. They're in a position now where the roster is starting to get really expensive. Now, if you can cycle a couple guys out and you move forward with guys like Jackson and Williams and those guys, and they're much cheaper options, you're in a pretty good place. But those are going to be the things that you're going to really look to make the most of this season for, and then the big questions need to answer come July.
Yeah. Traditionally, historically here in Memphis, over both ownership groups, it's been we never pay the tax. But that's not uncommon to what? How many teams around the league you think mostly have that mantra of we never pay the tax?
Well, there's only two that have never paid it. It's the Charlotte Hornets and the New Orleans Pelicans. So kind of oddly enough, the original Hornets and the now Hornets and the team that the Hornets became. Yeah. Those are the only two that have never paid the tax. But I think it's pretty likely that it is in a spot where you probably have 7 or 8 teams that are, hey, we'd like to not pay the tax if we can, because it's not a business you want to be in if you're not a very good team. It's really quite that simple. And if you're not a title contender, there's a lot of teams that'll look around and say, nah, there's no reason to going into the tax because that's not really where we want to be. And I think that's important to note because of that situation. Like you said, you've got these kind of teams that have done it in the past, but most teams that have rarely ever paid it because it just doesn't make sense to pay the tax sometimes.
What team has paid the most in the tax?
In the history of the luxury tax,
the
Golden State Warriors, well over $300 million in just tax money that they paid, and that's not even including last year's bill. So we're probably, I know we're well up over $400 million. We're moving into $500 million territory on how much they've paid in taxes.
Yeah, I'm curious in the the latest news we've gotten and your thoughts on it with the Milwaukee Bucks. Adrian Griffin is out, and Doc Rivers is in. We learned, or at least I learned, I'm sure a lot of people knew it beforehand, but I learned yesterday when all of this was going down that Doc Rivers has been serving as an informal consultant to Adrian Griffin for the last month or so. What do you make of this whole situation in Milwaukee from them midway through the season? They're sitting towards the top of their conference, firing their coach, and then turning right around less than 24 hours and going and hiring Doc Rivers.
Yeah, I don't feel bad that you didn't know, because I don't know how many people really knew that was going on. I think that came as breaking news to a lot of us. It's something that feels a little bit off with that part of it.
Yeah.
The firing Adrian Griffin part is, that's surprising. I know some people are painting it as, I'm not really surprised. It wasn't going well. Well, it's the second best record in basketball, and I get it that there are a lot more complaints, but it's still surprising when a team has been playing that well and they haven't, they're moving on from a coach. Now, we've been hearing a lot of rumblings over the last several, weeks here of, just not real happy. Guys are not happy with schemes on both ends of the floor and rotations and all that stuff. And one of the biggest mistakes I think NBA teams make with both players and coaches is if it's gone past the point where it's salvageable and no one's on board anymore, they hang on too long. So I'm always in favor of pull the plug, move on, and go in a different direction. The Doc Rivers part of it, that's a little strange. It's a little, was he already in place? Is that where we're trying to go? How are we feeling about that? So that part, doesn't necessarily feel great. And I'll also say this, Doc Rivers' track record over the past several years, decade and a half or more since he left the Celtics as a head coach, hasn't been great in the playoffs. His teams have struggled. His teams have blown leads in series. It's just something we're going to really watch, because for this team, it's finals or bust. They don't make the finals. This did not work.
No, and we talked about that yesterday. How much was he part of the coup? How much was he part of the plan? And except for 2008 Boston, it has not worked out well for Doc Rivers at a lot of really plum, sweet spots that all he had to do is, really not mess it up. And a lot of times it got messed up. And I saw this morning kind of on Hot Take TV, and I understand, a throw to the break and the tease and trying to keep people interested, but they were going to the break, and the throw to the break, the tease was, can Doc Rivers get this team in contention? Hell, they are in contention. They were a week ago.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. You're not going to improve much record-wise with Doc Rivers. It's not like he's going to come in and the team's going to go undefeated over the next, remaining half of the season or so. It's probably going to be a similar pace to what they've won now. They'll probably continue on about a 56 to 58 win pace, which is about where they were at under Adrian Griffin. But the challenge is it's all about the playoffs. If you don't make it into the playoffs and then win in the first round, win in the second round, win in the conference finals, and get to the NBA finals, people are going to come back and say, what was all this for? This doesn't make sense. Why? That's going to be the big thing. It's going to be why did we need to do this? And that's just going to be something that's going to have to be a question that gets answered at some point, by this, front office group. If they fall short, did we, not land where we wanted to land? My guess is, though, this is not going to be barring a complete disaster, and I don't think that'll happen either. This is not going to be a short-term thing with Doc Rivers, because you're already paying two coaches to not coach for you. I'm pretty sure as it's come out, Doc's making $40 million over the next 3.5 seasons, I don't think they want to pay him to not coach for him either.
Keith, you know the Celtics as well as anybody. Beloved Celtics view, but you call it straight as you can, always straight about the Celtics. Where is Doc Rivers in Celtics lore?
He's highly thought of because he's been such an important part to that franchise. He came in, and a lot of people say he's always had these teams that were set up to win right away, and that wasn't true at the start of his Celtics tenure. He came in, and the team was bad. Now Danny Ainge flipped it very, very quickly by trading for Kevin Garnett after what was an absolutely awful year for the Celtics, and that worked out immediately. They won the title. I still contend they would have won the 2009 title if Kevin Garnett hadn't gotten hurt. That 2009 team was better than the 2008 team. They were absolutely destroying everybody they played. Kevin Garnett got hurt. He tried to come back late in the season. It didn't work, and they bowed out ultimately in the playoffs when also Paul Pierce and Ray Allen were banged up at the end of the run too. And then 2010, they get back to the finals and lost guys there. And then Doc squeezed a couple more good years out of that team beyond what they really expected, where they almost made another finals when those guys were very clearly on their last leg. So I think, we're to the point with Doc and Celtics history, he's highly thought of because he came through and he got them that championship banner that they seek. Beyond that, I think everybody's kind of been like, he's fine with the Clippers, fine with the Sixers. He wins a bunch of regular season games, but he doesn't come through when it counts.
Mm-hmm. For the Bucks, the biggest issue lately has been their defense. They started the season and played well defensively, but now they're towards the bottom of the NBA when you're looking at defensive numbers. What have you seen defensively for the Bucks that worries you, if at all, and how fixable is that under Doc Rivers?
Yeah, I think what you're going to see with Doc is you're going to see them commit to him really lock in and play at a how do I put this, at a more stable level. Mm-hmm. Meaning, I don't think they're going to be changing up scheme from game to game, from half to half, and things like that. I think they are going to really lock into a place where it is, hey, let's kind of get into a spot where it is, this is what we do. We're gonna do what we do to the best of our ability. We're not going to change this up, constantly and all that. I wouldn't be surprised if they return to some of the stuff that has really worked well for them over the past couple of years, really past 4 or 5 years, with the drop coverages and like, because I think Doc is going to say, hey, it's good to have other things in your bag to go to, but our primary defense needs to be something that allows Brook Lopez to be that good.
Mm-hmm. Talking to Keith Smith from Spot Track and the Front Office Show. He joins us every Thursday to talk the NBA. We also had another coaching move this morning. The Wizards have made a change at head coach. Wes Unseld Jr. Has been moved to a front office role. What did you make of that news this morning?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? I lost you for a second.
The Wizards, their change of head coach this morning, Wes Unseld Jr. moving to front office. Now, a different spot than certainly Milwaukee is. I think we all came in thinking this is going to be a rebuilding season. That one kind of caught me almost more of a surprise than the Bucks did.
Yeah, I think not unsurprising. The team has not been very successful. Now, that's not a knock on Wes Unseld Jr. because they're not set up to be successful this year, but they gave him a couple years. He came into a team that was really set up, let's be in somewhere in the mix of the, 7th to 8th seed every year. Yeah. And then a new front office comes in and they completely tear it down. And I think for them it is, hey, we're restarting. We're restarting around younger players. We're really tearing this thing down. And anytime a new front office comes in, it tends to be far more likely of, hey, we're going to get our guys. We're going to bring in our own guys to kind of run the team and coach the team. So I think that's what ultimately happened here, and I think that's where this is all going to go.
And maybe a big change for the franchise itself with the new building that will be in Northern Virginia, and that's not done deal, but it's getting really close in the state of Virginia, just decorating the tree to where they almost cannot turn it down. Yeah,
and I know some people feel a real certain way about that. hey, this is not okay, right? You're moving the team further out. It's funny because it feels like, and maybe I'm completely off on this, but it feels like these teams, when they move further out from the main city, they struggle to get fans. We saw that with the Pistons. They had no problem when it was the Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars. Those guys would travel all the way out to Auburn Hills to go to those games. But then when the team went into a major different mode, a lot of people were like, that's far away. Like, get them back downtown.
Out at Richfield.
Now they play downtown. Yeah, so it's one of those things where it's, if you make people have to go too far, you better give them a reason to go that far. Otherwise, they're just not going to come.
I read a good article. The author of the story was saying it's just 7 metro stops from the current place, but it feels like a million miles. When you leave the district and go to the Northern Virginia, you're out of the district. I don't care if it's 2 subway stops.
Yeah, and I don't know what 7 metro stops mean for them. That's not one I'm familiar with, but I've been places where 7 metro stops can be a half hour long. And now you're talking half hour on the front end, a half hour on the back end.
I would guess it's every minute of 20 minutes. And on a busy, congested day, it would be that. And you're talking people, getting off at 5 and trying to get to the building. That if you tack on that time, people check out.
Yeah, for sure. Now, you put a good team on the floor, you build a really nice building, and you give people reason to go. People will go. They'll make it work. It's not like everybody's going to turn their back. But yeah, it's a very interesting situation there in Washington for sure.
We had a trade the other day between the Heat and the Hornets. Terry Rozier heads down to Miami. He got his first action as a Heat last night against the Grizzlies. Got to wear the Heat culture jerseys in his first game. And then in return, Kyle Lowry and a 2027 first-round pick go to Charlotte. What did you think of this trade? Now it sounds like Kyle Lowry might be on the move again soon, might not be sticking in Charlotte. What did you make of this trade?
Yeah, Kyle Lowry will not be on the Hornets come the end of the day, Thursday the 8th. If he's not traded somewhere else by then, they're going to definitely work a bio with Kyle Lowry because they've already basically said he's not going to play in any game. Yeah. So this was all for the Hornets. This was about clearing Terry Rozier's contract off their books moving forward. Again, new ownership group. They're expected to likely bring in a new front office that may also come with a new coaching staff as well, and everything's kind of starting over there in Charlotte. They've made it clear to other teams, don't call on LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, or Mark Williams. Anybody else, we're open for business. We'll listen, and if it makes sense, we'll make a move. So I think we're very much in a spot here with the Hornets where they're just moving in a different direction. They got a first-round pick to do it, so let's go. Now, for the Heat had to do something. Kyle Lowry was moved to the bench. It seemed increasingly clear he was probably going to be close to being dropped out of the rotation entirely. He's lost a step, 2 steps, maybe even 3 steps. He's not quick enough to create his own looks anymore. That hurts him creating shots for others. That hurts him on the defensive end. He gets by with kind of the veteran know-how and all the tricks and everything he knows, but that only takes you so far. And it was clear by the time we got into the playoffs, probably wasn't really going to be a thing for Kyle Lowry anymore. So now you get Terry Rozier. He can really play. He's a big upgrade on Lowry as far as scoring, passing. I think his defense will get back to a level we saw it at when he was with Boston. It just hasn't been an emphasis in Charlotte on bad teams. So I think they'll drag a good defense out of them. And for them, giving up a first-round pick feels like a lot. But there's no organization I trust more to find undrafted guys, G League guys, second-round picks, coach them up into being rotation players. So I think they're going to be just fine.
Who would Kyle Lowry really help the most in a playoff push?
Yeah, a lot of people instantly went to Philadelphia and felt like he's going to end up with
Welcome
the
back.
76ers. Just because they can use another guy. I actually personally think the best spot for him, it would have to be via buyout. They don't have a way to trade for him. Would be the Minnesota Timberwolves. That Timberwolves team, if you saw the other night, Karl-Anthony Towns, chasing points, and everything fell apart. And it fell apart in such a way Chris Finch came out and was like,
Blasted.
hey, I'm going to talk on this, right? I'm going to let everybody know how I feel about this. It wasn't good. Now, what happens, though, is that was the extreme end. But every time Mike Conley comes off the floor for that Wolves team, things get a little sideways. He's at the point in his career where he's going to miss some games, whether they be to rest or just nagging injuries. But it's even in games. When he plays, if he's not on the floor, things just get a little wonky. I think if you could get a guy like Kyle Lowry, you bring Kyle Lowry in there, now all of a sudden you've got 48 minutes of veteran point guard play, and you're in a pretty good place. So that's a team I'd like to see him consider if he takes a buyout.
And full circle for us in Memphis, Kyle Lowry and Mike Conley back as teammates.
Yep, there it is.
That would be something. Keith, last thing for you, since talking about trades, trade deadline will be here before we know it. Do you see the Grizzlies making any small moves or any moves at all at this deadline? No, a lot of people have kind of thought maybe not, but when you talk about going into next season, there's going to be some roster issues. Do you see them trying to get ahead of that and making a move before the deadline this year?
Yeah, I think what you may see them do in the more immediate concern of making a move is something that frees up a roster spot. Because I think they're going to want to do something similar with Gigi Jackson that they did with Vince Williams Jr., where it is, let's try to get him converted. Let's get him on a long-term contract. I think, he's showing everybody had this guy as a lottery pick going into his first year in college. And then that college season was such a mess on a bad team where he didn't take good shots. Everything got real messy. That turned into a lot of questions about his attitude and how much he cares and all that sort of stuff. And then that turned into just him dropping in the draft. Now I think we're in a spot where I think you're going to want to see this be a position of, hey, let's try to get this guy converted and keep him long term. But that means freeing up a roster spot. There's a bunch of ways they can do that. There's guys that they could move in trades that could do an unbalanced trade, a 1-for-0 or 2-for-1 type deal. Then I think the other thing is you have to have a real conversation. You can start it in the next couple weeks ahead of the trade deadline, or you let it carry into the draft period of, hey, do we feel good with Williams and Jackson? And if we do we feel so good with those guys that guys like Zaire Williams, Jake LaRavia, David Roddy, is that a conversation of maybe we move some of these guys in a trade? So we're going to bring them in. And that's where if you're Memphis, like we talked about off the top, you're going to be so expensive in the next couple years. You have to start cycling through the bottom of the roster with much cheaper talent. And they've generally done well with that through the draft. Now you're in a position where let's really try to make that happen and try to get that done here with moving on from some of these guys and really cycling in these guys who are making minimum or just above minimum type deals that'll really help them long term.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if what moves, if they make a move before the deadline. But Keith, thanks so much as always for joining us. We'll do it again next Thursday.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Keith, and have a great week and great weekend. Keith Smith talking NBA with us every Thursday. I know the big game's coming up soon at the commissary. Going to have a lot of specials around that big Sunday. Going to have some specials coming up about Valentine's Day that I'm going to love to tell you about. The commissary with two great locations at Houston Levy and Poplar are the original in Germantown, the original since 1981. Perfect for a big group for any game watching this weekend. The Tigers, on Sunday afternoon, the NFL playoffs, anything, anytime. It's perfect for a big group. The Memphis barbecue and ribs done the slow-cooked Memphis way. The Memphis style that we've come to know and love through all the years with the commissary. If you're craving an easier way to order, you can text commissary to 33733. Dig into the ribs or the shoulder, chopped or pulled on a plate, on a sandwich. But you need to start with the great appetizers and pace yourself. Go slow. Make it a big process, like the tamales or the cheese plate, the smoked chicken wings or the barbecue nachos created in the early 80s by Walker Taylor and his team at the commissary. When you get the ribs or the shoulder, you get all the sides, beans, slaw, deviled eggs, bread as well, and you can order it by the pound or a 6-pack or an 8-pack or a 12-pack. You need to have this for all the game watching we're going to do and all the good times we're going to have the next few weeks. We're going to tell you more about around Super Bowl Sunday and around Valentine's Day. Save room for dessert like the lemon ice box pie, the banana pudding, and the great strawberry cake. Here's the number, 901-754-5540, or go online at commissarybbq.com in Collierville and Germantown with the party areas, the orders to go, catering, tailgating for any time of season, any sport. They're ready at the commissary, 901-754-5540, or go online, commissarybbq.com.
Well, we need to get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk the NFL.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
We all appreciate luxury. We love the newest technology. We want something that sparkles and looks great. Well, I've got it all in one place. It's called Genesis of Olive Branch, right at the corner of Highway 78. That's Lamar. And the first exit in Mississippi, that's Craft Road. Turn left and you will see Genesis of Olive Branch. And right now, you can get the 2024 Genesis GV70 starting at $49,480 with special financing as low as 3.49% on select models. How about the 2024 Genesis GV80? A little bit bigger, starting at $55,995, financing as low as 5.49% with a $2,000 rebate when trading a luxury brand. Call them. They'll even bring you a Genesis at your work or your home for a test drive. They're convinced that when you drive a Genesis, you're going to want one. Call 662-890-6684. Ask for Vinny. Genesis of Olive Branch.
If you love sports and Mexican food, you can get the best of both at Los Cabos Mexican Bar and Grill on Summer near Graham. Watch all the big games on all the big TVs on all the walls at Los Cabos and enjoy premium tequila shots anytime for just $5.50. Celebrate every day with lunch specials from 10 to 3 and happy hour from 3 to 8. Lunch is just $6.75 to $10.99 and margaritas start at $3.99. Experience real Mexican cuisine along with great sports at Los Cabos on Summer near Graham.
Admit it. When you start thinking about tastes of Memphis, you think treats, sweets. You think Dinstall's. For 122 years now. What is that, 5 generations? When people wanted something to bring to a party that will just make everybody happy, they bring out Dinstall's. 122 years of Cashew Crunch, of Heavenly Hash, of Turtlettes, of their award-winning fudge. That's worldwide. It's known that well. Then there's the milk chocolate. It all starts there. There's the double-dip peanuts. And then every fall, those famous chocolate-covered strawberries with that fondant. And they won't tell you what's in the fondant, but it makes it oh so special. And easy to get to. 5 locations. There's where they make the candies in Pleasant View. There's Germantown. There's Collierville. There's even one downtown and in my neck of the woods in Laurelwood. You know what? 122 years made in Memphis and enjoyed by the whole world. Dinstall's.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Let's make this the new year to drive your new Kia home from Gossett Kia on the Pike. Bobby J's waiting to put you in a new Kia today. So come hit the road with 41 MPG Highway in 2024 Kia Forte LXS, $239 a month, $27.99 due at signing. Or get 7 passenger seating in a 2023 Kia Sorento LX. We Gossett at $319 a month, $34.99 due at signing. And if you want your new ride to be a 2024 Kia Telluride LX. We got it at $449 a month, $34.99 due at signing. All 36-month lease plus Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. So get to Gossett Kia today, 1900 Covington Pike. Online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 650 acquisition fee. Forte RE722-812, MSRP 21590. Sorrento PG 242710, MSRP 33010. Telluride RG 462822, MSRP 38705. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 1/31/2024 with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. MPD still on the scene of this accident. Had some injuries. A car hit a pole. They're trying to clean this up right now at Raleigh-LaGrange at Holly Hedge. Again, try to avoid that intersection if you can. It's starting to bunch up over here on 40 East from Sycamore View Road all the way out to Germantown Parkway. It's heavy now on 240 East, either getting onto 385 Bill Morris Parkway or continuing on 240 East over here around Poplar. Weimer's Jewelry 7525 Highway 64 is your Valentine's Day headquarters. Go by and see David and his family right now. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
There's a lot of NFL news out, and about none of it, I guess, is about the actual games that are going on this weekend. We talked earlier about the hire for Atlanta. They have now made their hire, and I don't think I certainly didn't see Raheem Morris being.
I didn't either.
But that is who it is.
But it's the old Lee Corso theory.
Okay.
They had offense in Arthur Smith.
Sure.
Then they went defense. Lee Corso's theory is if you had a tall, skinny guy, the next guy's kind of a chubby, short fella.
I like that theory.
They like the opposite of the last guy.
Yeah. Interesting. I like that theory. But this is a little bit of an update from Diana Rossini from The Athletic, what she's been hearing about this Falcons opening. This is what she tweeted out a little bit ago. There are layers to the hiring in Atlanta. Arthur Blank was targeting the greatest coach of all time from the start. He was then open to listening to other ideas. Some internal persuasion, impressive interviews, and now here we are. Belichick is unemployed.
I don't mind
Raheem gets his shot. So it seems like the idea from the start was Bill Belichick is going to be our guy. Then Raheem Morris came in. People around the building started saying, I like this guy. This guy could be the future. He, knocks them out with a couple interviews and gets the job.
Again, whether it's fair or not, do you want to win for the Atlanta Falcons or do you want to pass Don Shula?
That's right.
That's a good question. That's a great question, Barry.
That's not unfair. Look, we know his bona fides. He is the greatest NFL coach ever.
Yeah.
If he never coaches another down, if he doesn't get to Shula's record or not, because of those Super Bowl Sundays.
Yeah.
That's ultimate team sport.
Sure.
Took a lot of great staffers, took great players, and he had them. Took two great kickers. To go through it with Vinatieri and Gostkowski is almost incredible to have kind of back-to-back kickers
for
a franchise.
Easily.
Adam Vinatieri going to be a Hall of Fame.
I think both should be.
I think they both should be as well. But no, I think, when you look at it, we talked about it, about 30 minutes ago, 45 minutes ago, when this news first came out. But for the Falcons, they're in a spot now where they're building, and do you want a coach that
kind of stopgap.
Whether he's coaching just to try to get a record or not, he's on the